Hello and welcome to the in-depth series section of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha, and in today's episode we will be discussing about the topic of domestic systematically important banks, popularly known as the DSIBs. And a phrase which you must have heard in news, that is, there are few banks in India which are too big to fail. It means that they are so big in size and their functioning is so big and at such huge scale that these banks cannot fail, because if these banks will fail, then the economy of India or the financial sector of India will also get unstable. And recently what has happened is the Central Bank of India, that is the Reserve Bank of India, has announced DSIBs in India, and there are three banks which have got the status of domestically systematically important banks, that is domestic systematically important bank, the tag of DSIB, and that is SBI, that is the State Bank of India. Then second is the HDFC Bank, and third is the ICICI Bank. So first of all, let's talk about the points of discussion. First we will be looking at the news, then second, what is a DSIB banks, then why has DSIB banks created, what is the reason for their creation, is there any global SIB, that is systematically important banks, or not, then capital requirement for DSIBs, and how are DSIBs selected, what is the process, and in the end prelims MCQ. Topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 3, that is economy, banking sector. So the news talks about domestic systematically important banks. Why are these banks too big to fail? First of all, what are these banks and why are they called too big to fail? So before starting, Drishti IAS has come up with the IAS Foundation course covering both prelims and mains in English medium in an offline manner. So if you want to be taught by the best faculties in an offline manner, then this is the right opportunity for you. The Indore branch is starting on 13th November 3:30 p.m. while the Delhi Karol Bagh batch is starting on 26th November 6 p.m. If you have any query, give us a call at 8010-440-440. So the RBI, that is the Reserve Bank of India, has retained its status for DSIBs for three banks, and that is the SBI, HDFC and the ICICI Bank. And all these three banks, they continue to be under the same bucketing structure as in the 2023 list of DSIBs. So every year the domestic systematically important banks list comes out, and so this year also the list has come out, and the list, who gives this list? So this list is given by the Central Bank of India, that is the Reserve Bank of India. And systematically important banks, they are perceived as banks that are too big to fail, because if they will fail, then the financial sector of the country will also become unstable and will suffer a lot. Their continued functioning is crucial for the uninterrupted availability of the essential banking services to the real economy, and they are called domestically systematically important bank. Domestically, it means globally there is a different list, and domestically it means within India, and they are called systematically important banks. It means for maintaining the overall structure of the banking system in India, or for maintaining the overall financial structure in India, these banks are important. As if these banks will fail, then the economic structure, the financial structure, the banking structure, all this will suffer. Now, what are DSIB banks, or what are domestically systematically important banks? So the regulator has issued the framework for dealing with the DSIBs in July 2014. So for the very first time to deal with DSIBs, the circular was issued in 2014. Then since 2015, the RBI has been disclosing the names of the banks who are classified as DSIBs. So you can say that since which year the DSIB banks started to be named in India, it was after 2015. Then the Reserve Bank of India has announced SBI, ICICI Bank as DSIBs in the year 2015 and 2016. So SBI became DSIB in 2015, ICICI became in 2016, while HDFC Bank got the status in 2017. So in total, as of now, there are 3 banks. Banks in particular, if we are talking about, then there are 3 banks which has got the status of DSIBs, and that is SBI, HDFC and ICICI. And the current update is based on the data which is collected from banks, that is March 31, 2024. Now, why has DSIBs been created? What is the reason for creating DSIBs? So, some banks, due to their size, so these are 3 banks which are the biggest in the country. Cross jurisdictional activities, complexity, lack of substitutability and interconnectedness. So that is why, because of these reasons, they are considered very, very important. See, they are so big in size that around 2% of the country's GDP is what they constitute. Then they have such a huge customer base that if we talk about the whole country, then SBI alone has such a huge customer base that it will constitute, you can say, more than 5 to 10% of the country's customer base. Then the interconnectedness, it means that they are so deeply rooted within the country, and also their functionalities are so deeply rooted with their customers, and not only with the banking sector. Their functionalities are also involved in other sectors, like for example the insurance sector. So the interconnectedness is also very high. Then the substitutability. So if these banks will fail, are there other banks in the countries which have the capacity and which have the capability that those banks can substitute SBI, HDFC or ICICI banks? So these are few of the points which make these banks very special, and that is why they are called too big to fail. And if they will fail, the country will suffer. And if they will fail, or if they are on the verge of failure, then the government will also be forced to intervene, so that the financial sector of the country will not become unstable, or the financial sector or the financial crisis must not come within the country, because the customer base is so high that even if the news of these banks failing, it will create a ruckus among people. Then they have the potential to cause significant disruptions on the essential services they provide to the banking system, and in turn the overall economic activity. And the continued functioning of SIBs stands for systematically important banks, is critical for the uninterrupted availability of essential banking services to the real economy, and that is why they are called too big to fail. And if we talk about DSIBs, then DSIBs are divided into different sectors, like for example DSIB bracket 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So in total there are 5 brackets under DSIBs. And if we talk about then these brackets, the ratios that they come into, or SBI this year has been stated under DSIB bracket 4, that is SBI, bracket 3 is HDFC and bracket 1 is ICICI. Bracket 1 means the ratio of CEIT to the risk weighted assets is 0.20%, while bracket 2 is 0.40%, then comes 0.60% and then comes 0.80%. So SBI has 0.80%. We will be going into detail what are these ratios. So you must know that there are 5 brackets. SBI is under bracket 4, HDFC is under bracket 3 and ICICI is under bracket 1. Now different brackets. So RBI has placed SBI in bucket 4 or bracket 4, HDFC in 3 and ICICI in 1. Now if we talk about the global systematically important banks, so are there systematically important banks in India only or around the world? So around the world also systematically important banks are there. Like for example, the Financial Stability Board in consultation with the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision and National Authorities. So FSB consults with the Basel Committee and then the national authorities of the country, and then they give list about the global systematically important banks. So the list for 2023 includes around 29 global systematically important banks like, for example, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, HSBC, Agricultural Bank of China, Barclays, BNP Paribas. So these are few of the examples of the global SIBs. Now let us talk about the capital requirements for DSIBs. So what is the capital requirement for any bank to come under DSIB? So it is based on the bucket in which a DSIB is placed. As I just told you that SBI was placed under bucket 4, HDFC was placed under bucket 3, ICICI was placed under bucket 1. So DSIBs are based on the bucket in which a DSIB is placed, and an additional common equity requirement has to be applied to it. Additional common equity requirement, that is CER. So the additional common equity tier 1, that is the CE1. So now what is common equity tier 1? Now imagine if there is a bank named SBI. Now every bank, when they become very big, they need to have certain buffer for themselves, that if in case the bank observes any kind of losses, then how is the bank going to deal with that losses? And that is why the common equity tier 1 is taken out, and this common equity tier 1 is taken out from the risk weighted assets. It means that in case of any kind of risk, how much asset the bank has to deal with that risk, and out of this risk weighted assets, the common equity tier 1 is taken out. And this common equity tier 1 is what is based, different banks is based on, like for example our SBI, if it is placed in bucket 4, it has a CET1, and that is 0.80%. It means, like for example, if SBI has 100 crore rupees, then out of these 100 crore rupees, 0.80% will be kept for the common equity tier 1. It means in case of any losses, this money is what the bank has. So the additional common equity tier 1 requirement as a percentage of the risk weighted assets that we have just discussed for SBI is 0.80%, HDFC is 0.40%, and ICICI Bank is 0.20%. Then up to March 31, 2025, the DSIB surcharge applicable to SBI and HDFC Bank will be 0.60% and 0.20% respectively. Now this is surcharge, 0.60 and 0.20. I hope this is clear. Common equity tier 1 is what you have to understand, and risk weighted assets. So basically what you have to understand is that in case of any losses, the bank has the capacity to deal with those losses, or they have a buffer to deal with those losses. Now how are DSIBs selected? What is the step for selection of the DSIB? Now what happens is that out of a sample of banks, the sample of banks are assessed for their systematic importance. Now which bank is important for the country and how much importance that bank holds for the country. Then detailed study to compute their systematic importance is initiated. Then a composite score of systematic importance for each bank in the sample is computed, and on the basis of this composite score, the list for the domestically systematic important banks are created. And it has been said that the banks having a size beyond 2% of GDP, 2% of GDP are selected in the sample, and in India they are SBI, HDFC and ICICI. So this was all about the domestically systematic important banks. And in the end, a prelims MCQ, and you people need to tell me the answer in the comment section. And the question reads, which among the following are regarded as the domestic systematically important banks in India? So that is SBI, HDFC, ICICI, or all three which are written above. So give me the answer in the comment section. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.